Our next conference that we went to is all about esports. We went to NACAD, and just to share with you what is esports, and so I'll share about what is esports. I'll give you a little bit about what NACAD is, this conference we went to, and then what are we doing at Modesto City Schools for esports. So lots of great things to share here. So esports, it's short for electronic sports. It's a form of competitive video gaming. Um, it's organized. You have multiplayers doing the video game competitions, and you have teams that are working together on those video game competitions. So you might be 5 players versus 5 players playing a video game, and you have practices. Just like a traditional sport, you have practices, you have game matches, and you have tournaments, is what esports is. And NACAD is the National Association of Esports Coaches and Directors. And it's the premier professional organization for competitive esports coaches and directors at all levels, high school, clubs, college, universities. And that's what we saw there. We went down to Fresno. So Fresno has a really great, Fresno Unified Schools has a really great esports program that they're rolling out district-wide. And they hosted this NACAD event here in November. And definitely it was after-school programs, it was high schools, it was colleges, universities that were all there. There were different coaches and directors we got to meet. Alexandra and I went, and we learned tons of things, got some great contacts from this event. But if you haven't heard, you're gonna hear it now. We are rolling out esports at Modesto City Schools district-wide. So we're really excited. We have an esports lead coach at every high school, and we are working with ACES and Expanded Learning to start to roll out esports at elementary and middle schools. And we already have several of the high schools are up and going already. We even had a game match between Enox and Davis the week of Thanksgiving. And so we're this whole year is about getting it set up, getting the coaches trained, focusing on the game of esports and the players, and getting it rolled out this year. And elementary, just to share a little bit, elementary, we're going to be doing Nintendo Switches. We're going to be doing games like Smash Brothers, and we're calling it Esports Junior. And as you can see, the logo is very much themed with the Nintendo Switch. So in a moment, Alexandra Hancock will talk to us. She was very inspirational with the logos that you're going to see for our esports. So I thought that was a really nice touch with Esports Junior with the Nintendo Switch colors. On the logo that you see on the right is for our esports program, the competitive side that we're rolling out at high schools. And you're going to see that there's a theme of this model. Model is Modesto Esports League. And we are model players, model teamwork, and model champions in Modesto City Schools. We do have a esports website. You may have not seen yet. So on the district's website, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's esports highlighted, and you can click on it. And this will have all the great information. I'll put it in the chat here. This has great information about the esports program. It talks about what we're doing by each grade level, elementary, middle, and high school, and what games that we're playing. It talks about why are we doing esports, and a big reason is it's inclusive. So it doesn't have to have a certain physical attributes to be a part of esports. It's mostly reaching out to students that might not have been participating in any other activities at the school. And those that participate in esports, there's some really great research that is showing social emotional benefits, attendance, grades, even happier to be part of the school site. So there's some great benefits that come back to the schools and the students that are participating. The other part is there are universities that you're going to see in our presentation today. We visited UC Irvine, and it's a college, one of the most popular colleges to apply to. and they have a very robust esports program. They even do esports scholarships. So there are about 550 schools nationwide that have somewhat of an esports program up and going. There's about 30 colleges, universities that offer scholarships. So it's just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. When we're meeting with the vendors just for our rollout, we're kind of first in the Central Valley here to get this district-wide esports besides Fresno. And just the vendors we're talking, you're one of our largest orders, but this is starting to come to us. So it's getting bigger and bigger in education. And if we scroll down, you can see the timeline that we have a 3 different years phase of the rollout coming up. And then at the very bottom, you can see all the different logos by school. So they're definitely themed for each school, following that model player Modesto Esports League theme. I think, Alexander, what do you think? We share the video Armando made?
I say let's do it. That'll kind of feed right into my recruitment slide that's next. So yeah, I say let's see the video.
All right. So this video was created by Armando, and I'm going to press play. So the one thing we definitely are instilling at with the esports program is the coaches are getting training, and Alexandra's going to share with you about the practices that we're doing here at Modesto State Schools with the students. But the students are learning, communication skills, teamwork, team building. They have to work together to win the game matches and the tournaments. So it's definitely some really great soft skills that the students are learning. And then there's some really college and career skills that are part of this. So there's digital journalism, digital citizenship, there's conflict resolution, there's data analysis, broadcasting, streaming, shoutcasting, design, production. That's also involved with this. And the one neat thing is there's very few sports that allow both men and women, and this is definitely an activity that we're offering that everyone's welcome. It's very inclusive. Women, video gamers, the boys coming in. So it's very open and not just, I guess there's very few activities that allow that for within the sports. And then, so I think this is just a really great program that we're able to offer and roll out this year. And with that said, Alexandra has been my partner in crime in doing esports here at Modesto City Schools. Alexandra, you're next.
All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So I'm kind of deviating a little bit from the NACAD specifically, just because I do want to share a little bit more about what we're doing as far as esports efforts in our district go. So a little bit, I want to talk about recruitment. So we've had to do recruitment on both sides. We've had to recruit our coaches, which I'm happy to report we have a full roster of coaches at the high schools, including Elliott. And then we've also had to recruit the students. For the most part, the student recruitment's kind of is just, hey, we have this program and the students are super excited about it. The biggest thing that we're really focusing on is this esports is going to have all of the same requirements as a legitimate sport. So students really need to be eligible. And so that's a big focus for our recruiting efforts right now is for those who aren't eligible, we definitely want the coaches to reach out and try and support them to get that eligibility up so that they could participate either next semester or next year. So we're hoping that that'll kind of have increases in attendance, increases in grades as students want to become eligible to play on an esports team. We started with League of Legends. This semester, we're rolling into Valorant and Rocket League next semester, which, as I understand, are far more popular games. So I'm excited to see our students working on their eligibility so that they can be a part of these teams. We've got some recruitment flyers that I've developed that kind of, you can see here the theming is really similar so that we have kind of a nice cohesive image as we get these posters rolled out to the school sites. We tied in the same colors with the videos just so students kind of are starting to see that visual branding and getting excited. As Matthew already mentioned, on the coaches side, we don't want this just to be the kids coming in and, playing video games for an hour. This is a growing industry and it is a competitive industry. And so we definitely want to make sure that we're providing our students the best spaces to practice and that they're actually getting something out of it. So kind of in support of that effort, we made sure that all of our esports coaches, they're getting a stipend for their time. So it's not like they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, although they are doing it out of the goodness of their heart as well. But they're also getting a stipend. And so one of the requirements for meeting that stipend was getting NACEF certification. It was a 6-hour course, and NACEF is a nationally known organization. They're the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, so they're nationally known. And so we had all of our coaches go through this 6-hour certification process. Myself and Matthew went through it as well, just to make sure that we were also having the same certifications. This course included a lot of different information that was really helpful for our coaches, including the current state of the esports industry, the roles and responsibilities that you would have on your team, how to build and roster a team, how to learn the game. That's a big piece of it, right? Because our coaches may or may not be gamers themselves, and they may or may not be familiar with the games that our students are playing. So how to learn the game and how to leverage the student expertise to improve the team overall. And then just to kind of reiterate, we don't want any toxicity. We don't want this to turn into any kind of, there sometimes can be kind of a negative affiliation with gamers, right? The gaming community is often called toxic, and we hear about all these horrible sexist and racist things that can come out of video games. And so we want to make sure that we are the good model players. We're definitely encouraging our coaches to enforce good sportsmanship all across the board. And we're encouraging that with our students as well. And if there's any sort of toxicity, you're out of the program. It's just like any other sport. You need to show up. You need to be a good player. You need to be an inclusive player. So that is definitely one piece that we really want to focus on, because we recognize that video games and esports is a very valuable opportunity for our students, but we want to make sure that it's a welcoming space for everybody and that nobody feels, because of some characteristic they can't control, that they shouldn't and can't be included. So we want to make sure that everybody is included and that there's no toxicity. Matthew also teased a little bit here about the practice agenda, and this kind of goes in hand with, again, we don't want them to just show up and play video games for an hour. That's not really meaningful. If you just show up and play basketball for an hour without any focus or coaching, you're probably not going to improve. And the same thing applies here. You're not going to improve your teamwork. You're not going to improve your skills if you don't kind of have that focused coach practice. And so we had each coach kind of come up with their own template of what a practice would look like. This is kind of a recommendation and they built from there. But we definitely always want to start with some sort of mental and physical warm-up, because the whole body health is important. It's not just like keeping your hand ligaments loose and, making sure you don't get carpal tunnel, we also want to make sure that you're in a good mind frame and that you aren't subject to tilt, which is a super fun gamer word for somebody being angry and taking it out on their team. So there's different warm-ups that we want to do to get students in the right headspace, make sure their social emotional state is good, get them physically warmed up so they're taking care of their body. And then we encourage some sort of level up activity. And what that looks like will change throughout the season. Maybe it's a team building exercise. Maybe it's a video on demand review. So they review their plays just like you would in football or basketball. Maybe they watch a YouTube strategist and they learn new strategy that way. Or maybe it's just, hey, let's learn about getting good sleep and eating well. Again, it's kind of that focus on the whole player, whether it's the team building side of it, the physical and mental health side of it, or the actual skill development. We encourage some sort of activity to level up. Then we get to the actual game playing, right? We get the students on their teams. We let them get in and practice because you do need to actually practice, hopefully with a focus on what you're working on, but you do need to practice. And then at the end of practice, we're going to do some sort of cool down, whether that's a physical stretch, a mental exercise to kind of, move from practice into the rest of your day. So that's kind of a rough agenda template of what these practices might look like. It's up to each coach kind of how they adapt this to their site, but this was provided to them as kind of a framework for them to build from. Because again, we want it to be meaningful practice that helps our student teams improve rather than just sit down and play a game. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Matthew for some of the other things we received from NACAD. So Matthew, go ahead and take back over.
Thank you, Alexandra. At the NACAD conference, really great organization that we got to meet, learn about, and this is definitely going to help us partner with them as we roll out esports here in Modesto City Schools, is COPE. And they are a coalition of parents in esports. It's a really neat organization. They help with the misconceptions on esports, benefits of esports, parent support, how do parents support a student that's in the esports program, and even helping parents, families, and students with the career and college readiness, and even applying for colleges and what scholarships are out there. So I think this is going to be a really great organization that we get to partner with, doing some outreach to parents in the community, what esports is all about. And one more thing with esports is was at the NACAD. We're going to talk about the site conference in a moment that we just attended, but it's all esports themed. At the site conference, we had an opportunity, Alexandra, myself, and our CTO, Russ Selkin, to visit UC Irvine. That's that top 3 school for applying to. It has an esports program. They do scholarships for esports, so it's really neat. So you're seeing a picture here on the left. That's their community gaming hub that they have that students can come in during the day, during the evening, play games. During their breaks that they have in the lab. The artwork is amazing. It's all from the gaming publishers, but really great artwork that they have of the different games they play. On the right-hand side, you're seeing the competitive part of their esports arena or their esports room that they have, and that's 5 esports computers on one table, 5 esports computers on the other table, and that's the popular setup. Usually a setup for competitive, you have 2 teams, 5 versus 5. You might have like a team A and team B, but that 5 versus 5 player, that's very popular with most of the esports games, and that's how they set up the competitive part. So they pretty much do all their practices, game matches, tournaments right there online. Using that setup you're seeing, they only travel for the final tournament if they do make it. And the league coach, Mark DePepe, we got to meet. He's a director of esports, and that's his job. His whole job is esports at UC Irvine, which is fantastic. And when he retires, I already have a prediction. The next director is Alexandra Hancock. One thing that Alexandra and I really took away from that visit was all the ideas that we have that we're instilling in those practices, but we really liked their pledge sign that they had on the wall in the esports room, and we're definitely going to be inspired by this. Working with this Anykey.org organization, very much the mission of being inclusive, bringing everyone to esports and being open to everyone in esports. So we're definitely going to be working with AnyKey. It was great to find that out, and then we were really inspired by the pledge to put in the esports rooms that we're rolling out.